Welcome to Baseball Card Illustrated, a show about our national pastime illustrated with baseball cards. I'm Bronco, the PSA 11.
And as time has gone on, I've turned into more of like a 58 mile an hour fastball here. Your Diamond X King, more like your Diamond Prince, Kevin.
And this is the premier edition, the best ever, or at least the first, of Fleer, complete with some disgusting gum.
Man, you were talking about a piece of history. First of all, in 1981, Fleer was one of the companies that successfully sued to enter the baseball card market. Topps had a monopoly on it for a quarter of a century. And then there was a lawsuit about the gum, which meant that this was the only year.
Wow, that is disgusting. I'm not even going to try to peel the rest of that off.
This is the chunk that he got. He got that part off, but the rest of it not so much. So these cards are, the lawsuit was late, right? It was late in the season, or late in the baseball card printing season. So these cards are absolutely rushed to print, and they are riddled with mistakes and errors. It's actually a lot of fun. This is a lot of history right here.
So Wayne Garland kicks us off with most of a pack of, or stick of gum. We're just going to get rid of that. Sorry. And we'll move on to Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, that's a guy that spent time with the Orioles in a couple of different roles. But the other thing that you'll find interesting, and you'll see this as you go through here, almost all of these photos, I believe, are taken in one set of stadiums. Donruss did the same thing in '81. Almost every 1981 Donruss photo is either at Comiskey or Wrigley. So clearly they were based in Chicago, and they were snapping the opposing teams as they came to town. That Getty in the background tells you that was Yankee Stadium, so I think that may be what you're seeing here.
So we're going to go on to kind of along these lines here. We got a Mike Krukow card.
Oh, a Chicago Mike Krukow card. Long before he was a broadcaster, he was a pitcher, and long before he was a pitcher, he was a Cub.
So what they must have been doing was like, here's the checklist of people. Get a photo of whatever he's doing that's fine.
Right.
Like here he's basically in a crouch position like he's warming somebody up.
Yeah.
Get the photo, check it off, and move on to the next guy.
Yeah, that's it. Because there's nothing about this other than, well, there he is. And by the way, Cubs pinstriped blue there.
Yeah, that's something else, isn't it? So here's Clint Hurdle.
Future
before
Pirates
he was
manager.
a manager, yeah.
Yeah. He was a can't miss prospect who missed, and then a manager who was around a long time.
Got Gary Alexander from the Indians.
Wow. So there's that C. Another one of those logos that was around for a short time.
It looks like they caught him around the batting cage there.
They're like, hey, Gary, turn around. Okay, check him off the list. We're good.
Next up is Mark Bellinger, who... Oh, wow, wait till you see the next one. Let's just go to that one.
There you go. Oh, yes.
Look at that jersey. Also
wow.
at Yankee Stadium.
Yep, the Getty got a lot of pub here in the 81 Fleer set. But it's... that's like a warm-up jersey of the time period, too. This would have been right after the White Sox were wearing shorts and those collars.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a wild time. This is not that far removed from Disco Demolition White Sox.
I was going to say, either that or this is what the players wore to their golf outing during the afternoon. Here's some hair for you on Mike Ramsey.
Wow. We have pictures. You remember this. We have some photos of Mike Ramsey where he looks exactly like Joe Exotic. A little later, another 2 or 3 years in his career,
That's
when
right.
he sort of got that mane under a little more control, he looked a lot like Joe Exotic. Grew the mustache. Doesn't look like him here though.
And back to the White Sox with that. There's a lot to ask about in this particular card of Francisco. I'm assuming Barrios?
Barrios or Barrios, one or the other. So my first question is this: does it not look like he is imposed on that background? Where you put him on a fake background. That looks like a fake background. That's the monster, right? In Fenway.
I would assume so.
But I love
kind of looks like it, if nothing else.
The quality control is way different. Like look at the left side of the cards. It looks like someone kind of ripped it apart from the card next to it, and all of them are way off center. Like these cards were absolutely rushed to print, and it's kind of fun.
And what exactly is he looking at?
Who is that up in that suite up there? Oh, they wouldn't be suites. This was 1981.
And here we got Mitchell Page hitting fungos for infield practice, I think.
It says outfield DH, but there's no question he has to be a coach, right? Like,
How awesome would that be to have that shirt that he's got on? Doesn't that look awesome?
Thing is, these days you could charge $200 for that. People would buy it.
Mitchell and Ness will start offering that.
He's the Mitchell. Where's the Ness?
Oh, now here's a guy. The Bird.
Oh, wow. So the Bird obviously is a big piece of history, but the crazy thing about that is he was a big part of history in 1976. This is 5 years later.
I'm kind of surprised to still see him around.
Yeah, he would have barely been in the big leagues. So let's talk his numbers after that. After 76, 6-4, 2-0, 0-3, 2-3. Those are his records in the 4 years between stardom and this card.
I was going to say, we've talked about some one-year wonders in the past on Baseball Card Illustrated. He's got to be like number 1 or 2 all time, right?
Because in his heyday...
Let's show people the back of these cards.
Yeah, they're hideous.
Back actually look kind of nice, though, because at least it's clear. You think 1980, 81, 82 in that era, it's going to be impossible to read anything. It's Topps has all those backgrounds that everything kind of blends together. At least here, if you want the stats, you can kind of make them out.
Yeah, they stand out a little bit. Looks kind of like the console of like a video game, like the the screen of a video game. And then you have the career ERA up there, which is pretty cool. Interesting. That's
Sorry, I cut you off on we were talking about one-year wonders.
Well, because in his case, this was when baseball at the national level was a big thing, right? And he had this great outing in this iconic night. Bob Uecker was one of the broadcasters of that game. And
against the Yankees.
He's out there talking to the baseball, and I mean, he took the nation sort of by storm in the era before you could see every game on TV. And he was great for that year.
I'm going to say Detroit's attendance when he pitched was like triple what it was for a normal game.
It's amazing.
So he definitely captured the attention.
There you go. Tommy Hutton, now a Marlins broadcaster, or was at least. He may still be.
So he's never performed in a baseball setting in front of people, has he? Actually, the Expos drew pretty well back at this time. That's not fair.
But that does look like funny. A 2020 crowd behind him.
And apparently we have a White Sox pack here.
But it's the same principle. That same warm-up jersey. Like these I'm going to take these real quick. Clearly, the photographer went to the stadium and was like, you get me every White Sox that you can get me. Well, I guess they're in different stadiums here, but you get the point. Like, they caught him in the same uniform, but it looks like the same day.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And Jim Morrison, you probably had to catch him when he wasn't performing with the Doors.
Yes, he was fantastic with the Doors. Not too bad as a baseball player, but definitely better with the Doors.
Okay, what can you tell me about Orlando Gonzalez?
The A's of this time, the Billy Martin A's, were absolutely nuts, but what I know about them is pitching, and they had guys throw 300 innings back then. I couldn't tell you the first thing about Orlando Gonzalez.
Let's see what the stats look like here. Apparently he wasn't with the A's for long as of through 1980. Played first base.
We know that much. Didn't hang around long. I guess I could give you a little background on him. Orlando Gonzalez.
Google page.
Yeah.
Or Wikipedia page blank. Even he didn't fill in the information about his career.
He was a baseball player. He's from Havana, Cuba. Says it on there, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
He played. This was the end of his career. He did not see the major leagues again after this card was produced.
Well, that's unfortunate because he didn't really see the major leagues before this card was produced either.
39 career hits.
Oh, that's 40 more than I have.
Did you give one back?
I did. Thanks for playing Orlando Gonzalez.
Ooh, iconic catcher time. Lance Parrish. Tigers are a pretty good team.
Here, we'll just do the catcher thing there with Carlton Fisk, Hall of Famer.
And that's his last Red Sox card because 81 was his first year in Chicago with the White Sox. He left after the 80 season.
So first he waved the ball fair, and then he waved goodbye after an interesting contract dispute.
Yes, indeed. It was a White Sox for 13 more years. That's a crazy thought.
Yeah, who would have known, right?
Right.
And we finish off pack number 1 with Enrique Romo, father of Tony.
Yes. Who clearly one was in some sort of 70s sitcom here. I feel like he should be chasing criminals around San Francisco. The other half is, like, if it weren't for the fact that you're looking at what you know are baseball cards, how would you know that was a baseball player?
Oh, you like, at least with the Carlton Fisk, he's wearing a jersey, so you'd have some kind of indication. This could have been a guy from anything.
He's wearing a hefty bag.
I wonder if that's the one they used in the Metrodome a few years later when it was built.
Yeah, these are classic though. Again, here's your errors on the left side with the the design of the card. You can see where it's been ripped from what's before it. I mean, this is if you're a baseball card historian, this is a fascinating set for a lot of reasons.
And we'll be back to open a few more packs on Baseball Card Illustrated right after this.
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of The Big Show here on the Baseball Card Illustrated channel. Be sure to check in with us throughout the week as the Diamond King and I bring you a variety of series, including Mystery Mondays, where each week you have a chance to win the prize package of your choice. Now, let's get back to the premiere edition of Fleer and the outstanding photography and disgusting gum of 1981.
This is not an error. We are checking out 1981 Fleer, the premiere edition. Kevin has a few stats for us.
Yeah, this is a set that just in a cursory search for errors, we found 34 different cards that have variations, and some of them have multiple variations. So you're talking some pretty crazy things here.
And there's part of Sparky Lyle.
Bronco, there's so much about this card that I love. For one, we all know Sparky Lyle as a Yankee. He's a Philly here, so this has got to be the end. The card is so dark, and by the way, there's half of a stick of gum attached to it. When they lost that lawsuit, when Fleer did, and Topps became the only one that could put gum in their cards, you think Fleer celebrated?
I think that was best for everybody involved.
I mean, I don't mind logo stickers.
No, I quite like them, actually.
Yeah, logo stickers are fun.
You ever tried chewing a logo sticker from the mid-'80s?
It's about the same, though.
Max Venable, he was a Giants outfielder.
His son Will also played in the big leagues, the Angels.
I'd say that it's a little bit different look than I'm used to seeing from the Giants.
Yeah, they were. Remember, there was a time when they got into this kind of crazy color phase. Like 81 is kind of the out time of it. 77, 8, 9, if you go back and look at All-Star games, it's a great example because everybody's wearing their jerseys. And everybody's in these crazy bright uniforms. The Giants had these obnoxiously orange uniforms. I would wear one, but but it was obnoxious. And this is sort of the end time of that with that dark black and orange there.
And you can't talk about crazy jerseys without a Houston Astro being involved. And here's Terry Pull.
That's the rainbow, the true rainbow, and you can kind of see the beginnings of the rainbow. The weird thing is, very unintentionally, this matches. This yellow and this orange matches all of that from the jersey. See, it's
so Fleer got one thing right.
Yeah, they tried with that one. That's not terrible, but that yellow is weird. Here, everything matches. I guess except that light blue in the corner.
Here's a card for you. Bill Buckner.
Whoa! Young Bill Buckner at Wrigley Field. I mean, relatively young at least. And smiling because the thing hadn't happened to him yet.
And wouldn't for quite some time at this point.
You know, it's funny because history now, people would tell you about the one play with Buckner, but he's very close to having 3,000 career hits.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's quite a player.
How about that for a jersey as well?
Yes. Full taco here with Dennis Kinney. You've got, and these are the jerseys that stayed with them even when they were really good in '84 and made the World Series. They were wearing these with the lowercase. The homes are white and the roads are that hideous brown, that wonderfully hideous brown.
I was going to say, hopefully not. The photographer didn't only take photos in San Diego, and we can see one of those on a card coming up here.
Wonderful.
There's another Giants card. We can see the home jerseys at the time.
But here's another great example of this. Like, why is Gary Lavelle pushed all the way to the left here?
Because he's left-handed.
I guess like they're giving him room to throw the ball. I guess, and there's headroom over here. Like this is what you call a rush job. This was that school paper you wrote in an hour. That's what this is.
Louis Pujols.
Not the father of Albert.
Not the father.
I for a long time I thought he was the father of Albert. He's related. He's not the father though.
And wearing a pretty slick outfit there.
Yeah, there's your warm up with the rainbow on it. That's beautiful. He was a catcher.
We got Scott Thompson. That's Scott with 1 T.
So
Because 2 would have cost too much.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a first set. You can't get too nuts with it. Tell me how far apart these 2 photos were taken. They might have just pointed the camera like, "Hey, Scott, click. Bill, click." I mean, they're clearly like right next to each other, aren't they?
And it kind of looks like the same guy.
Isn't it? Here, throw this wig on. Give yourself a little extra hair, or pin it back. Something.
Let's clear the deck. I'll let you see if we have any errors there, because we're just going by the card numbers on the back.
Error search here.
And
Dave Edler.
Is Dave Edler an error, just in general?
Just as a general rule, it's a question. Yeah, that's, again, there's your action shot. And there's those early Seattle uniforms. The franchise was, 4 years old at this point?
And was still looking for their first win as a franchise. It was not a great debut for the Mariners.
And still not, because they are now a part of baseball history. Do you know the distinction the Mariners now have that no one else in baseball has?
I do not.
The Mariners are the only team in the current major leagues that have not appeared in a World Series.
Oh, there you go.
Because the Nationals have done it now.
I did not know that.
Digest that.
You've learned something today here on Baseball Card Illustrated.
Illustrate that. This is actually a pretty solid photo. I like the powder blues. This was when the powder blues were in.
I'm going to say we got another powder blue here that I'm just going to throw up there. Now, that's actually kind of an action shot.
Yeah, and that's in Montreal.
Now, apparently zooming in on the camera was not an option at this point in time, because that is from a mile away at, I'm assuming, Exhibition Stadium, right? Or not Olympic Stadium.
It's got to be Olympic Stadium. It's, the funny thing too is, did they have to go back and make sure that was Ellis Valentine? Like, because it's.
I don't think they worried about it, to be honest. I think it was like, here's a picture. We'll put it on a card, and we'll just give him a name.
Ellis Valentine. We call this the Bette Midler card because it's from a distance.
Hey-o! Just for that, we'll reward you with a player from Team Kevin.
Oh,
Center fielder Dale Murphy.
So he's babyface, so he's still young here, but he's not so young that he's still catching. And he did for a minute play first base, by the way, in between catcher and outfield. But he was baby-faced, not yet an MVP, but no longer a catcher. That's a great tweener shot for Murphy, who is, by the way, one of the best dudes, like just nicest guys ever in baseball, still to this day, and a very fun Twitter follow if you check him out.
So for those of you keeping score at home, get a life. It is now Team Bronco 10. Team Kevin catching up a little bit here with 7. That's your second Dale Murphy.
Yes.
I guess I'll give the rundown real quick here. We got 2 Ryan Sandbergs for you, your second baseman. Yes. 2 Dale Murphys.
Yes.
I'm on the board with 2 Barry Bonds cards and a whole bunch of singles of other players.
Man, this is fun.
I might have to check my math. 2, 3, 5, 6. Wait, 3, 5. I think you're at 8.
Oh.
You really are catching up
10
here.
10 to 8.
Well, now I got to make sure I have 10. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Math here.
I'm at 9.
It's 9 to 8. Did you give one of mine to you originally?
Maybe I did.
I need to see this Dale Murphy card. This is wonderful. It really is.
Fun with math will continue here with Craig Reynolds. Or not.
Or not. Bye, Craig.
Mark Little, what do you got to say about that?
Man.
Littell.
But the best part is he's a pitcher. So again, this is classic 81 Fleer.
Right?
A pitcher sitting on the bench holding a bat, and the photo is angled left, but the centering on the card is angled right. This is amazing.
So I got a story about not this particular card, but kind of along those lines that goes with it. So we have our Fairfield Fuel Box Challenge, where I'm saying we'll get 10 cards signed, and you had the under. Well, one of the cards that we've gotten back and we'll bring to you, actually I think we already had it. Yeah, we already showed it on Through the Mail Thursday. It was the Bryn Smith card of him batting. And it's like, where exactly do they come up with these? Like, I guess, if you're a pitcher, you don't necessarily need every pitcher to be, I don't have another pitcher in the stack here, but, in the act of throwing or something, but, batting? Really? Base running?
Catching?
Yeah, I was going to say that might be even more ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people's faces and not a lot of action in these shots.
I still think, and I don't have a card of it on me, but in 1988 Fleer set, you got Dan Plesac, pitcher for the Brewers, batting.
And that's an American League pitcher.
Yeah, so he never would have batted.
Right.
I don't even know why they would have taken batting practice, but...
There you go.
Chris Spire here with the Montreal Expos shortstop.
Here's your classic 80s look. Got that warm-up, got the mustache.
I'm going to say, with that look, he was destined to play for a while.
Yeah, he was. The Magnum PI look was a huge thing at that time.
Yeah, Reggie Smith here. That says outfield, but he kind of looks like doesn't he sort of look like he's playing first base there? Looks a little like Eddie Murray, doesn't he?
The other thing about that is that it looks like it's a card from a very different era, like a throwback picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like these pictures are not like brand spanking new or anything like that, but look at the difference in clarity between Lance Parrish, who by the way is all the way over to the right, and Reggie Smith. That looks like 1970 something.
Yeah, it sure does.
Interesting. It might be.
And the final card of this pack is Braves catcher Bruce Benedict.
Bruce.
I was going to say, you got any good stories about him?
Oh, you know I do. What was his career his other very famous career once his baseball career was over?
Military leader that sold out his troops.
I can see that. Because it's Benedict? Yeah, I like that. He was a basketball...
Chef.
He was...
He created Eggs Benedict.
Eggs Benedict. Actually, the broadcast team of the Braves back then did call him Eggs a few times. They did do that. He was an SEC basketball referee.
Really?
So I was at a stadium at Mississippi State, at Arena at Mississippi State in 2000, and the referees came out of a room next to me and walked by me, and I'm like, that guy looked just like Bruce Benedict. Like, I laughed at it out loud. And then I grabbed the box score, and I'm like, it is Bruce Benedict. So he went from catcher to referee.
And we'll go from pack 2 to 3 of the premiere edition of Fleer Baseball. Baseball! Right after this, you're watching Baseball Card Illustrated.
We hope you are enjoying this walk down memory lane on the Big Show as we check out the premiere edition of Fleer with gum. Be sure to stick with the Baseball Card Illustrated channel throughout the week, like a piece of 40-year-old gum sticks to an image of our cardboard heroes, because the Diamond King and I have all kinds of fun things planned for you. Sometimes we even have a special episode, like when we got this through-the-mail return from Trevor Wilson. Now, let's go back to 1981 Fleer.
Rounding second, heading for third of the premiere edition of Fleer Baseball.
1981 Fleer. They won their injunction at the last minute, and they ran a baseball card set to market, and it is, it's generic. They're cards.
There's Larry Cox, the catcher.
Larry Cox with some gum attached. I mean, that's, like, you can't pry that. You can't sandblast that off of there. That's amazing.
I'm going to say, that gum is staying there forever.
Bob Sykes.
Sykes!
On the way out, it was like, oh yeah, we missed him. Take that picture real quick.
This is a young Gary Carter.
Wow. My favorite pictures in this set are Expos pictures. There's something about the lighting at Olympic Stadium, or maybe whoever the photographer was. Maybe he was a Canadian photographer. Maybe he had a different approach. Because those are the best cards so far. The Ellis Valentine that we saw, the action shot. Tight shot of Gary Carter. Tight shot of Chris Spire. Remember him?
I do. Just trying to figure out. So we got a John Vukovic card here. I'm just trying to figure out what that is.
Oh, a little blob. Okay.
Is that a printing error, or is that a photography error? Because anything is in play with 1981 Fleer.
Yeah, that's something. It's not listed in the official errors. I have a feeling that's a printing.
I was gonna say it could well be a printing error.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Padres uniforms, and here's a look at
the warm-ups of that.
The warm-up, yeah.
Oh man.
So that doesn't actually look too awful there.
Yeah.
It looks kind of dull because, this card is 40 plus years old.
Right, and it's, the photography is not the same. It just doesn't look like it would in person, but that's a classic.
And another kind of interesting pose to put on a card.
Barry's over there. Grab that photo. Click.
Hector Cruz from the Cincinnati Reds.
He did not want his picture taken, and he expressed his displeasure in the moment the picture was taken.
Either that or an anvil fell on his foot.
Yeah, is that an expression of pain? That might be.
Wait, true or false? And if you get this wrong, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Floyd Bannister was on a card in the 1981 set.
Floyd Bannister?
Yeah, true or false?
Ugh. I mean, I'll say true, but
It's true.
wow.
Because why would I have come up with that question
Yeah,
otherwise?
still.
I did not realize that.
Floyd Bannister in 1981. That's crazy. Now we need to go back and look at his career. He played for the Astros in the 70s. I did not know that.
I was going to say, I was not aware of that either.
So there's another one, that Seattle uniform. You never, that was a very minimal part of time right there for that Seattle uniform.
I like the hat though.
Yeah.
The design on the hat.
Pitchfork M, both of the first Pitchfork M's worked. That was the original from their start of their franchise, and then the one with the star in it, which is the Alvin Davis, Mark Langston era.
How about a Hall of Famer?
What you got? Teddy!
Ted Simmons.
And in 81, he was a Cardinal, but in 82...
He'd have been on the other side of that World Series
Yeah.
between the Brewers and the Cardinals.
He was, and as a catcher, he was one of the best year to year to year. He was around a long time.
Sure was.
Ted Simmons, wow. How about Greg Luzinski? Okay, so here's a card that you could never have in 2020. Because first of all, that's half a pouch of something there. But also, he's in front of this packed crowd, and he's putting that hand in the mitt. Give me that ball. This is not something that happens right before a game anymore.
So we've obviously come across a lot of Phillies cards here on Baseball Card Illustrated. I don't think we've ever talked about, what do you think of this logo and color scheme from back in the 80s?
So they had different variations. They had a white one, which was nice. They had a baby blue, a powder blue, which the powder blues are always nice in my mind. And then they had this red, which should have been better in my mind. Like, I don't know if it's just the color of red, if they could have changed it up, made it brighter.
I was going to say, I always thought that it was like everyone on the team had a faded jersey.
Yes.
Like it didn't look bright and sharp.
It started brown and ended up here in this like mulberry or whatever that is.
It's like you get one jersey, and if you're here for 40 years like Mike Schmidt was, you still only get that one jersey. So you're going to have 3 or 4 different colors throughout the time that you're with the team.
Excuse the gum here, but there's the powder blues, and those are pretty, But yeah, the reds never popped for me.
Rick Russell, I think we talked about him on our last edition of Baseball Card Illustrated.
He's around a long time. And by the way, I think it was about this time when he and his brother played on the same team, Paul Russell. 2 pitchers for the Cubs. He's around a long time.
Lenny Cicada.
Hey, that's one. Wait,
there's an all-time name.
It is true. It's one of Earl Weaver's great, chess pieces. Earl Weaver loved platoon, right? And this was the kind of guy that he would platoon with and get some success out of. He'd squeeze some success out of him.
We've got an Omar Minaya sighting.
Oh!
You know what time that is? It's Mets time.
Oh,
and look at that.
Hey, that's here's a dude worth signing, right?
Jeff Reardon.
Man, that's fantastic because Jeff Reardon looked like that for his whole career, and yet he didn't look like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it.
He became less grizzly as time went on, I think. He was bearded his whole career, but not like that.
I'm going to say, and that was the one that Omar and company let get away.
Good closer for several teams. Braves had him.
Lonnie Smith is a Philly?
He's a Philly. Oh my goodness.
That doesn't seem right.
No, wait. Lonnie Smith was played for the Cardinals when they were in a World Series. Played for the Braves when they were in a World Series. So if he was there in 1980, clearly he played for the Phillies when they were in a World Series.
Presumably, yeah.
Wow, that's nutty. Lonnie Smith, the Don Baylor of his era. Hey, Steve Dillard. If you don't know him and you're a fan of Milwaukee Brewers baseball, you probably know his son.
I was wondering if that was his father.
Yep. Steve Dillard, Saltillo, Mississippi, had a kid, Tim, who grew up there, and of course Tim was not a record breaker as a player, but he's one of the funniest dudes you'll ever meet.
I'm gonna say he's got one of the best personalities in the game, that's for sure.
Broderick Perkins. It's a name you don't know and a uniform you'll never forget. Yeah, those Padres warm-ups are wonderful.
Dan Dreesen is our penultimate card on this pack.
Yeah, that one looks like one of those faded photographs. Like, if your parents or your grandparents ever bring out a photograph of something that happened 40 years ago and it's all faded. It looks exactly like that right there.
And if you've ever wondered if yellow pants are a good fashion statement, I present Phil Garner and this look that the Pirates had back in the late 70s into the early 80s.
They won a World Series with that outfit somehow, some way. Maybe they just blinded the opponents into... Of course, the problem is, if you look at the 79 World Series, the Orioles are wearing this crazy orange. That's what I'm saying. It was a wild era. Like, current high-definition television would probably injure some people's eyes.
Then again, when you've got all of this going on, it doesn't matter because of that thing there.
The barrel hat is a top 5 invention in the history of baseball apparel.
So there's only been 5 inventions in baseball apparel history?
Top 5 or bottom 5, I guess, depending on how you look at it.
It's one of the 5.
Yeah.
And we'll be back with one more pack of the premiere edition of 1981 Fleer Baseball.
Just like Fleer could not be contained to simply producing baseball cards, Baseball Card Illustrated was inspired to branch out into basketball. So, you are invited to join Kevin, the free throw line king, and I each week for Hoops Wednesday as we venture off the diamond and onto the hardwood. Usually we take a look at cards signed through the mail from the 1990-91 NBA Hoops set, but other times we branch out into other things from the court. Join us this week to see where we post up and find out how the ball bounces. Now, let's get back to the big show and our final pack of 1981 Fleer baseball cards.
We are rounding third and heading for home with the premiere edition of Fleer Baseball.
You're opening up pack number 4, right?
Yep.
All right, good enough. We've gone through some of these. It's been a lot of fun. And but here's a weird thing. We have yet to see an error card, and there are tons of error cards in this set.
Well, this has got to be an error on a Richie Hebner card. I don't think it's supposed to come with a piece of gum on it, right?
How can you hit with that piece of gum slapped to half of your body?
You can't even see.
I just throw the heater right by him. Hey, check this out. Can you put that back up for a quick second? Here are 3 layers of Fleer baseball all in one. You've got the card, you've got the gum attached to the card, and you've got the design of the pack, the lettering of the pack in the gum. Can you see it? The baseball, the bees, baseball. It would look great this way.
That's extra flavor, actually.
Yeah, is that what it is? Baseball. That's man. Ladies and gentlemen, 1981.
Ain't that yummy?
That's a classic.
Oh boy.
Steve Renko caught him on the follow through. You better hope he didn't bunt up the third baseline, dude.
Yeah, it looks like he's about to fall over.
Yeah, I think they don't have earthquakes in Boston, but it looks like maybe someone knocked him sideways there. Dan Ford. And what I love about these photos like this is you know exactly where that was taken. Hint, not a major league stadium. Because of those bleachers in the background.
That was his 8th grade graduation party, right?
Yeah, tens of people packed those bleachers behind him to see him move
It's
on
a
to
current day graduation, actually.
Yeah, right, yeah. 2020, social distancing in the bleachers. Now, the Angels' shots from this set, I remember being really good because they were shot in their spring home in Tempe, Arizona.
Mickey Rivers, how does that run you?
Wow. I remember Mickey Rivers being bigger? That can't be right, though. He would have been around a long time. He was on those 70s Yankees teams. Yeah, he's got... Wow, his first year in the league was 1970. That's crazy. He stole 70 bases one year, Mickey Rivers. He can move, man.
Well, that's like 18 fields that don't have bases.
Yeah, they're going to have to replace all those. Hopefully that wasn't all at once.
In honor of how bad that joke was, I'll just get that all out of there.
Hey!
And here's another point for Team Kevin. We are now tied at 9 with the golden arm of left-hander Steve Carlton.
Now, there are a couple of things with this. You notice, normally you wouldn't see this in on a name the way it is. Like every other name in the set is, at the bottom, it's name and then position. Here, they tried to put nicknames. You know, Lefty, the gold, they put 2 nicknames on him, and then in non-bold letters, they put his name on there. Well, this was one of the many cards that was subject to errors because there were different versions of it. So, in this case, this is card number 6. Oh!
Well, it was card number 6.
We lost him. That's unfortunate because that card is actually one of the ones.
There we go.
that might actually be listed in here. So
stand by for breaking news.
So here's the way this works, and I wish I had the other one to show you. This is supposed to be the last card in the set, 660. But they mixed it up with his regular card in the set, number 6. So there's a number 6 that looks completely different from this, with just his name and position on it. Now, there's a second variation that goes on here, and I want to see if that's the case. It is. You're going to have a heck of a time seeing this, so I'll just have to tell you. On the stats on the back of the card, 1966 is 1066. He was around for a long, long time. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, sure enough. I knew he was around for a while.
So, if you're talking about, with the Spanish Inquisition, Charlemagne, like Steve Carlton was around a long time. So there are 2 mistakes on that card.
That's impressive. He went 3-3 with an ERA of 3.12 when he was minus 858 years old.
And then he had this long hiatus. So that is a double error right there. And a Steve Carlton card, one for me in the points column.
So, first year, not much collation here. We've seen these guys in our last pack, so we'll just skip over them and move on to good old Jim Spencer.
There you go. So, we've seen a lot of these guys with their pictures at Yankee Stadium with their photos there. This is a Yankees player with his photo at Fenway Park. And it's funny, they're all in these very basic warm-ups. It's just get a picture when you can.
And with that in mind, I'll present Tim Foley, which was the same kind of principle, like, hey, we need this picture, snap, gone.
I feel like someone in section 117, row 5 caught that photo. Mind if I borrow this real quick? Because look at all that weird green tinting on that. See if that's a printing mistake or if that's an actual error. It's not an actual error. So you see all that green there? I think the Pirate Parrot got a hold of this one.
Here we got Roger Clemens. No, I'm sorry, Scott Erickson. No, it's Roger Erickson.
When you combine 2 great pitchers, you get a not great pitcher.
With is that Burt Blyleven's number?
It might be. Those powder blues are again fantastic. Doesn't matter which one. Powder blues for the win every time.
Steve Busby would agree with that.
Steve Busby could be pitcher, could be manager here. Not really sure.
We talked a little bit about things that players do during games.
Yes,
and Doug Bird has a mouthful of it as well.
Oh, either that or he's swallowing a bird, an actual bird. Yeah, that's.
Have you heard about the word?
What word is that?
Doug Bird, bird. Mike Cubbage is the word.
Wow. Mike Cubbage taking time out from teaching your history class to be a first baseman for the Twins.
Either that or it's Darrell Evans.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I could see that. Was the Darrell Evans thing like a fashion statement? I wonder if people were going that way.
I don't think it was a fashion statement.
No, not intentional.
Yeah, I was just about to say, or at least an intentional one.
Larry Gura. I wonder where they are there. There's these pictures, the Twins and Royals are being taken in the same place, and I don't recognize that background. It's got to be an old spring training complex somewhere. But literally, see that right there?
Yeah, I was going to say, at first I was thinking Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, but I don't know what that thing is.
It's It's the exact same design that's on the back of this card. Those last 2 you pulled, 2 different teams, the same background. Standing in the same spot.
You know what that is? Fleer set up one of those instant photo mats in the parking lot so that they could take the photo and race right out there and make sure it turned out before they left for the airport.
The Olin Mills approach to baseball cards.
Very forward thinking of them.
Oh, what a great set that would be. An Olin Mills set with 2 photos and one of them with them looking off into space. Oh,
We've had some guys that looked like they were looking off into space here.
I would buy every one of those cards.
Now, how's this for some hair sticking out of the hat?
And Spilner. So
his hair is spilnering out of the hat.
My thought is when he takes that hat off, like the hair poofs out and like slaps anything in its way. Man, that's a huge glove too.
Got 2 cards left. We'll start with a former manager, Mike Hargrove.
The human rain delay, because he would take so long between pitches.
I'd say there's a few people through the years that would have applied to, both pitchers and catchers.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Or position players, I should say.
Mike Hargrove, wow.
And last but certainly not least, Jim Palmer.
Jim Palmer, who word is that when he introduces himself to people, like for the first time, he says, Jim Palmer, Cy Young.
Does he really?
Yep, supposedly. I don't
So
know if it's
what does he say when he meets Cy Young?
Jim Palmer, World Series champion.
Has to be a moment of confusion there, right?
One of the greatest in terms of longevity and success. One of the best pitchers around. He was great. I am such a fan of that double error.
I was going to say, I'm going through here and, once I can get past all the gum and
and
mess that
off-center
made,
shots and just terrible photographs. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is a nice chunk of baseball history in that this set was influenced by what was happening in that moment in time in the baseball card world. They had gotten the permission to do this at the last minute, and it looks like it.
I'm going to say, so if you're looking for something fun to do, these packs aren't that expensive. Go out, find some history and maybe some errors, and stay clear of the gum. So, for Dale Murphy, the Bird Mark Fidrich, and the double error card himself,
the Battle of Hastings, 1066.
There you go. He's Kevin, the Diamond King, and I'm Bronco, the PSA Roman numeral. So long, everybody. You've been watching me slide right off the board. Baseball Card Illustrated.
It went off twice.
Safe!
Save twice.